Hey, I want to invite you guys, if you've been listening to this podcast and enjoying this content and are passionate about protection, you should know that we have an entire library of all of the Protector Symposiums that we've ever done, hosted at protectornation.com. You can go there and you can download those and you can watch every Protector Symposium we've had to date there online, and you can learn protection tactics from some of the most elite trainers in the world from the comfort of your own home. I think you'll be surprised about how much content we actually have there. It's very, very, very reasonably priced, and you can upgrade your protection skills. Remember, protection is not all about the hard skills. 90% of it is all about the software, the programming, the way you see and move in the world to achieve a safer pattern of life. With that having been said, go to protectornation.com, join us there, and learn from the best of the best. Now, enjoy the show. Boom! What's going on, you guys? Hope you're good. Welcome to the podcast again. As always, we have special guests. We have honored guests, but I'm really, really excited about having Maury Abreu on here with us. I believe he's a brother from another mother in a lot of ways, man. He's been training elite protectors. He's been working out there in the field for years and years and years. He's a highly developed instructor, but also a highly developed man of God, a family man, all the things that I really respect. And so it's an absolute honor to bring him here, to share with us and to talk about what that journey's been like and also where we're heading with all of it, man. What's up, Maury? It's an honor.
Pleasure. Finally.
Yeah, man. We've been kicking this back and forth for a minute. We've been trying to fit this thing in the game for a minute. So I'm glad we finally get to catch up, man. What you been up to, man? How's life? Real quick, actually, let's just give people a quick overview of what you do out in the space, and then we'll start getting into the finer details, man.
Yeah, sure. So I own and operate Omega Protective Concepts, essentially born out of a specialized request I got back in the 2000 and something, maybe 2010 or 11 or so. I was working with some law enforcement folks that were lacking in certain skill sets that I had through my agency where I was working at the time in the International Counterterrorism Operations Academy. And so that was the birth of Omega Protective Concepts. And what we do there is we equip people for success against violence of every form and in every environment. So within the realm of hands-on. So what I mean is anything from hand-to-hand combat and whatever you can envision that actually looking like in your home, in your vehicle, with a firearm, without a firearm, pistol, rifle, edge weapons, multiple attackers, and then adding in there and amalgamating the right mindset, cultivating the attributes that you need mentally, because if not, you just have a bunch of tools and a bunch of techniques and really no skill. So amalgamating the appropriate mindset for that, and then teaching that realm of violence and dominating that arena using force legally, ethically, and morally. So I bring in my use of force instructor, pedigree and testifying in court for use of force cases for officer-involved shootings and things of this nature, and all my certifications, if you will, all my training from Uncle Sam, and just putting it to good, and then making that available to not just, as we started off, military and law enforcement folks, but also to the public. We're blessed to have contracts with Fortune 500 companies and some private clients, and that's essentially the bread and butter of the company. That's what we do on the service side. And then on the product side, I design countless blades, and we make those available to the public, both in live steel version and G10 non-metallic, low visibility type position and posture tools for those that, if you're ever like trying to get into somewhere and you need to open a letter.
On the other side of
on the other side, we make that available to you as well. So that's kind of the bread and butter of the company, and that's what we do, man.
I love it, bro. We're gonna get into that. We're gonna definitely dig into that. It's what the world needs right now, man. And I think guys like us have literally been created and raised up for such a time as this. I mean, there's just an explosion of really good people trying to get really good training to those who are also good people but just don't really know it. And we had to go ahead and earn that training in some ways that I think you see a lot of God's grace in, man.
Amen.
That's good stuff. So training company, contracts, equipping people, the Lord's work. I love it. What is at your core though? Who is Maury, man? Who's the man behind all of it?
Yeah, I'm just a nobody trying to tell everybody about that somebody that saved my
What's
soul.
up?
There's nothing else here. I have a really cool resume.
Yeah.
I don't say it's cool, but it is cool. I have a really cool resume. I have a really cool job that I don't speak of openly. I work for the government conducting counterterrorism operations around the planet, low visibility posture. I have folks as a supervisor that deploy, and I manage in that realm. I've been doing that since shortly after September 11. Former Marine, married, 6 children, and I'm just looking to leverage, frankly, a very painful youth, abusive childhood, and really finding all the beauty in that and leveraging that for good and putting my pain to purpose. There is no pain. The pain is gone. I've been as fully healed as a person can be from the physical and mental and other, even still yet unspoken of, or things I haven't shared, just because I have some young children and some stuff I don't know that they're ready to digest, though I have fully, thank God. Just using that and then understanding violence from my experience, from my personal experience, and just teaching people how to be equipped to deal with violence and how to respond to violence and the reality of, dealing with something that's really abhorrent and repugnant and just horrible. It's nauseating. Violence can be really tough to see and experience, but to understand that it's there. And then how do we just manage that? And how do we deal with it? Because if we have a situation like one of the courses we started teaching is home invasion response courses. And people say, well, what is that? And, teaching CQB-esque type classes is a really good market, and it's really good business. And I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm all about people winning, especially if they have the skill set to stand behind what they're teaching. So God bless them. That should be availed to folks that are not on some alpha team, right?
100%.
Now, how do we take that information, especially post 2020, where we have millions of gun owners that fell into the category that in 2019 would say overwhelmingly, I never will own a firearm. I want nothing to do with a firearm. No such thing. So now we have not just, say, the husband who may be trained. Now he's gone on a business deal or work. Wife's at home. His most precious things, his children, are at home. It's 2 a.m. There's a break, and the assault cue is invaders coming in your home, and there's broken glass, and there's a gun, and it's your wife or you
happening.
And it's going down. And so what happens is this notion of what violence is and how I will react or not react and what I will do and what I'm willing to do, all that gets very real very quickly. So now we have well-intended training with unintended consequences. So we have gun owners, which I'm all about, that have passed some man-made arbitrary checklist of what to do, but they are incapable, absolutely incapable of dealing with that very real thing, which is probably one of the few real reasons of why they got a firearm in the first place, predicated on the idea they never wanted a gun in the first place, right? So what we do is we take all of this reality and through our methodology of training, which I can't say I've perfected it because I don't know there's ever an I've arrived moment in training, but I've done just tens of thousands of reps with real humans and real high-end users and use that to reverse engineer and find gaps and holes and voids and say, okay, we have what we think we need in this curriculum, but here's the holes and here's the void. And here's what we really need to teach the end user so that they are in fact equipped for success. Not that they just came to one of our classes, we made some money, they feel good about some skill sets that they could never actually apply.
Yeah. Bro, this is beautiful. This is powerful, man. I love it. And I think that there's a lot, it sounds like you're addressing a lot that's really missed in the training sphere. What are the environments like? Paint a picture for the listener about kind of what that training looks like. Are you guys just at a range? Are you at a dojo? Are you guys in like houses, home scenarios? Like,
Yeah, that's excellent. So that's an excellent question. So we have a very unique business model. I don't have a training center.
Yeah.
That was a dream for years until I actually got real training in the entrepreneurial realm, and I understood, profits and losses. And so what we do is we have a travel to train platform where we go to the clients. We go to the end user. If that means if it's a class on edge weapons and we need to find a local space and rent that space out, we take care of that. We bring the team out, we bring the equipment, we come to the client. So we have to fly to California or Florida or Georgia or overseas. That's what we do. So that's kind of the template on the training space. And then locally here throughout the tri-state area, we have certain like epic training centers. Trinity Training Complex is one that we have rather close, and we have movable walls and simunition type, non-lethal training, ammunition type weapons. And then we have role players, and we have folks in fight gear that you can actually go hands-on with. And then we'll build that, and then we'll take something like, for example, I actually have never said this because I've never thought of it till just now, but here's an example. I apply this concept of reverse engineering. Is we've all taken really high-end, instruction on vehicle combatives, right? Which, by the way, started off, that was never a firearms-based thing ever. It has evolved to that as well. It should have, based on a number of tragic things that happened to our brothers in arms in downrange. So we take this thing and it's like, okay, wonderful. The pistol is an amazing tool. The rifle is an amazing tool. Now, what happens in a scenario where you're seated and your weapon is wherever it is that you have it, and your assault cue is someone is like in contact distance with you and they can touch you? Like, how are you even getting to that weapon? And now how are you getting to that weapon? You're seated, you have a seatbelt on, you have a diagonal belt, you have a lateral belt, you have the actual connectivity of the buckle pressing down if you're at a hip carry, pressing that weapon into the seat. How are you turning? How are you maneuvering? We use this vernacular in our industry, and I'm not bad mouthing it. I'm just saying we do a really good job of creating gaps in training, letting our end user leave our training, and we don't even realize it because we're speaking our vernacular. So we say things like "get off the X." Well, how do they do that? Or how do we give them an opportunity?
My favorite one is like situational awareness. You need situational awareness. I'm like, yo, you got to unpack that, bro. Like,
that's right.
Like, how does the normal person, they just situational aware, like you got to really break their steps to this. There's principle-based and tactics to this, So yeah, get it, man. Anyways, you're killing it. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the idea is just taking, my cumulative experience and just really mapping that onto the scenario so that the end user is learning not only through instruction, but through self-discovery. Because the reality and sometimes, less experienced instructors and just some instructors with phenomenal experience and phenomenal resumes, but unfortunately their pride and ego matches their resume, are reticent to really comprehend that the goal is for self-discovery, because there are lessons I can tell my kids, for us that are parents, especially like maybe teenage or young adult. You think teenagers are tough, try raising young adult children, right? That you give counsel to. But the reality is, when they discover for themselves that what mom and dad was trying to teach them is actually true and beneficial and good and noble and praiseworthy and will save their ass, that's a lesson that you can take credit for having had taught it, but it was learned ultimately through self-discovery. So we'll take something like car combatives and we'll just have multiple attackers within that environment, some armed, some unarmed, some at the window, some behind, some you can't, driving off the X means you're now going to squash grandma who's, in a parking lot with a cart full of groceries or whatever, like these realities, not making it impossible. And lastly, what I'll say on all this, on our kind of methodology, is what a lot of that is based on is in my agency, there's usually a 10 to 15 to 1 type overwhelm in the ratio of enemy against good guy. Okay. And so, like, how do you start from a position of disadvantage where you're physically positioned in a position of disadvantage? And yeah, you have all kinds of weapons on you. That's wonderful. But you're in a position of disadvantage, and your attackers, plural, are already positioned and pre-positioned all around you from a position of advantage. And how do you reverse engineer and have success there?
Boom. I love it, man. I love it. I love it. This is, I think, a lot of this mentality is what's missing from a lot of the training that is out there. A lot of it is very linear, is very sterile, is very range, cargo pants. That's it. Like, we're going to shoot, and that's fine to go and work on a skill with regards to personal protection, sharpen a edge, but that sounds like your approach to training is much more holistic. And that's the stuff that people need. Someone will ask me, what kind of firearm should I get? And I'm like, look, bro, most of them go bang these days, man. Like, the technology is there, like, my best advice to you is, like, find one you think is sexy, because that's the one you're going to train with. Like, don't get a high point or whatever it is, but, like, just the top 4 or 5 brands, they work. And then going ahead and invest in your training, right? If you think it's sexy, you'll use it, you'll wear it, you'll put up with it, and then invest in your training like crazy, because that's really what's going to make the difference, and then, go work on your firearms, accuracy, speed, and all that stuff. But to create a real true protector, and this is something I've been aiming at with the Protector Symposiums, is, you have the soft skills day on the Friday, you come in, we talk, you learn the ology and the science behind who you're going to learn from for the weekend. Soft skills, I can't speak enough about them. I mean, that's like 80% of what's going to keep you safe or help you be able to execute anywhere. You need that software. But then when you get into actually creating a well-rounded protector, that experiential information, like that self-discovery, as you said it, and I'm over here learning, man, because that's really the game. As leaders, as parents, as instructors, we take people on a journey of self-exploration and discovery that helps them really integrate the things that we're trying to get to them. And until they have that, a wise person can recognize the information, the moment, and the person, and integrate without needing to learn the hard way. But most people, yes, that's another muscle that you have to develop. So I love that you're so scenario-based. I love that you're so experience-based learning, and that it's just going to give the person a more holistic experience. You might be teaching them a vehicle combatives course, but they're still going to come out of that course with, this is what it felt like when I, clutched that first dude as I was trying to get out of the vehicle. This is what it felt like when I started picking my angles to address this or address that. And this, I might be sitting in a restaurant, but I know how I need to move to get to my firearm in order to address this. There's so much more that comes from those experiences that your 100%. Brain can have those data points to connect in all situations. So that's amazing, man. I love what you're doing, and we're going to do some stuff, bro. If the good Lord,
Byron, watch this, man.
Send it.
So I have a few weapons on my person right now.
Let's go.
Yeah, if I can't access them
right
physically, because I have real pressure, meaning threats, meaning humans that will harm me.
Or actively trying to.
Correct. Regardless of my skill set.
Yeah.
That draw is a very different draw than if they weren't present. Now, you do need to train the basics. You should go to a range and shoot paper. A lot of it. I am not, you can't eliminate that, because that's the basics, and the basics make us brilliant. They make us masters, right?
100%.
But this idea of, a lot of times end users have this insatiable kind of desire for information, but not really, if we're honest, application.
Get them, bro. Yeah. 100%, man. Because that's where you get tested, and the application of the thing is the mirror, right? So you can know all this stuff, you can buy all the gear, you can feel all the feels, but the application is the mirror. And
Yeah.
so a lot of people run from that, man. And that's where you need to live. That's where you develop, really. Other than that, information isn't power. It's potential power. That
That's
doesn't
right.
turn into power until you apply that information. And
There's a lot of information in this book,
100%.
and it means nothing if
Right.
you don't apply it.
Yep. 100%.
And my life gets very painful
Every time I step apply.
when I stop applying the stuff that's in that book.
Yeah. Yo, I'm right there with you, man.
When I get over myself and I try to solve things myself and my knowledge and my power and my wisdom and my experience and my failures and my.
Yep.
Life gets very interesting very quickly.
Yeah, 100%. I get crushed, man. And I'm right there with you. And honestly, I mean, to me, one of the greatest comforts I have is that I didn't bring me here, like all the, what people would judge as success and the different things I've been able to achieve. One of the greatest things that I mean, even my life, I think, I don't know what happened. I think I died in Iraq. Like me even being here, is like God's grace. And so, knowing that that's what got me here gives me the comfort of knowing that it came for a reason, and it's not necessarily even mine to protect, and it also gives, because he defends me, and it also gives me a drive to want people to know that they can live this way, man. The ultimate,
Amen.
The ultimate understanding of love. You get faced with a challenge, and you know that your heavenly Father's got your back, and you almost get excited at a certain point, like,
Yeah.
oh, he's going to deliver me from this. And
Yeah.
I'm going to have another arrow in my hand to tell you and to prove to the world how good my God is.
That's right.
That's
right. You want to be an alpha. You want to be an alpha. Try forgiving someone that's hurt you. You want to be an alpha. Try serving people. Try serving people that aren't at your level, that aren't at your status, that don't think like you, that don't vote like you, that don't believe the things you believe.
Yeah.
Go do that.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Yep. And I think one of the things, it's like when a parent tells a kid to eat their broccoli, and the kid's like, well, the broccoli don't taste good. I want my chicken nuggets. You know what I'm saying? And so when you're coming from like an earthly understanding, you're coming out of your soul, you're coming from your worldly understanding of life, doing these things seems like, oh no, I'm not going to forgive them, or I'm not going to serve these people. They're not part of me. This is your humanity speaking, which is the most, it's not real true wisdom. So what you learn is, as you superimpose these higher level principles, like the parent telling the kid to eat broccoli, as you superimpose these higher level principles, you start to get higher level supernatural results in your life. You start to realize the beauty and fulfillment of being contribution centric. And you start to realize that you have more peace as you learn to forgive. And then you start to realize, like as my Father's forgiven me, I forgive freely. And like you start to live literally a much more blessed life. Blessed is a state of being, not a place that you arrive at. And then you start to realize the wisdom, like we were talking about earlier, when your parents was trying to tell you something that's right. And then you start to realize, like, yo, there's really something to these higher level spiritual principles that is a wisdom above my wisdom. And it brings grace into my life that is above anything that I could have brought based on my earthly knowledge. And then you start cooking with tartar sauce, man. I love it, man. This is the stuff. Let's dig into this real quick. We're talking about masculinity. We're talking about, we got to give them an appetizer on spiritual principles and how those things make us stronger. My approach to this is that a well-rounded warrior, a well-rounded man, woman, alpha, whoever you want to be and whoever you're looking up to, you need these spiritual principles. When I was younger and I was developing as a man, it was a lot of physical stuff. And I think that was important, but as I've become older, I've realized that I've transitioned from being a man of flesh, which you need to understand how to develop power, how to control that and how to make that serve, into more of a man of the spirit. And that comes from time and service. And that comes from, as I was saying, eating your vegetables and all that stuff, and realizing that there's more wisdom there, superimposing these higher principles into my life, giving me supernatural results and supernatural endurance. And going from being a bouncer to the top 1% of the EP industry overnight and different things like that, man. What would you say about the grace and strength and things you've found there on your journey of development?
So we live in a world where things are ever changing. We live in a world where things that stood as truths just a few years ago no longer are with the same vigor believed to have sustained. We question a lot of things now that we didn't question before.
100%. I mean, it's just coming out that so many things were deceptive. Like,
yes. And now, the tricks of the enemy are not working so well as they once did.
Right.
This medium, this tool here, which could be used to destroy marriages and destroy lives, this phone, this computer, social media, it's starting to get leverage for good.
Yep.
And you see things happening. You're starting to see men that are warriors, that have experience, that have character, that stand behind their word, that have a stack, that have produced things that move the needle in the right direction.
And are capable.
Yes, that are good and competent men are starting to either share their faith in Christ or are coming to Christ. So the identity of the warrior used to be physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, not part of it.
Right.
And if it was anything but our God.
Right.
And this is a different post and a different podcast for another day, but the obnoxiousness, it's actually the level of ego and pride that one has to possess to believe that they don't believe is broken at such a deep level. It's almost difficult to articulate, in the sense that so often those are the folks that are either worshiping self, worshiping intellect, worshiping information, worshiping their body, worshiping something. They're worshiping something. So what's happening is there's a transition where we're seeing, very, prominently featured podcast hosts and guests surrendering or professing Christ.
Or
and this is not movement.
Even professional athletes at the top of the game. Like you have to almost be blind, deaf, and dumb not to see it like happening. Like whatever sphere you're a part of, you're seeing people at the top of the game being like, I'd like to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ real quick. And you're like, again,
That's right. So what's happening is there's a realization that, hey, why does the warrior exist? There's two elements in general to the warrior. There's strength and there's compassion. Physical, mental, emotional, social, relational, communicational, spiritual strength, right?
Okay.
So if you're just strong, well, what are you strong for? And who are you strong for?
Right.
The other half comes in compassion. I learned this from one of my mentors, Frank Bricky, former recon Marine, a little bit older than me. Strength and compassion. So we're fighting to protect something. But what is it that the warrior has to subordinate itself if it's fighting for something, for a cause, for a lifestyle, to protect what's good? And the warrior understands and is understanding more and more and more, you must subordinate yourself to something. And we used to use this politically correct, even warriors, even alphas, the higher power, all this
nondescript bull crap.
Yeah. It's like, no, man, I'm serving Jesus Christ. And that's not a religious statement. So religion and all your nonsense and your rules over there. And you're like, well, so you have no rules? No. Because I have a relationship, I want to honor that relationship. So I'm going to walk in a certain way because I desire to honor and respect my creator. I'm desiring to honor and respect and acknowledge that a ransom was paid for you and I, whether you believe it or not, or accept it, or that ransom was still paid.
Right. On
a cross at Calvary, and grace that you and I could never earn. Yes. It's not something he did. So the word religion has a lot of doing, do. All, you have to do this. You have to do this. You have to do this. Christianity, what that even means anymore, but Christianity, in the way we're describing it, Christ,
right?
In Christianity, it's done. There's no do. He already did it.
Right.
And so I think to answer your question about, moving forward, and I believe you asked kind of about spirituality and how it affects us and how it plays out. We have to be leaders, not just showing folks how quickly we can draw a weapon and present the weapon and how successful our businesses are and how much, financial blessings God has given us and our wonderful families and our wonderful kids. We have to talk from time to time. You don't have to start a Christian podcast channel, but you do need to let them know what the source of that is and make it okay for people to understand who is your creator and what he has done for you and the wretchedness that he saved you from. And know you're not perfect and you still have a potty mouth and maybe you still have just a list of rules that but you still have a relationship with him that you're seeking to grow in, authentic, and you repenting, not out of shame or guilt from man, but out of, hey man,
I love my
creator. I hurt him, so I need to do better because he's been good to me.
Yeah. And
did I kind of question?
Yeah, 100%. Because I think guys need, and one, I want people to be activated when they hear this. Because I think there's a momentum here. People are starting to get bold about their stuff. Like if some overweight, hairy, smelly dude who worships Satan can have a concert and dress like a girl and sing to Satan on the stage, like he ain't got more balls than me. He ain't better not got more balls than you. You better let everybody know where you get your power from. One, two, I think they need to know also that this isn't like pie in the sky stuff. Like hard dudes who are smart and dangerous, and we work out and we believe in real actual power. We have acquired real actual power. I really actually protect people for a living 24 hours a day. I really actually have to perform in front of my employees and peers and I have to go train. Like I am not joking. Like I am dead motherfreaking serious. I can't get through, a year of doing I run 3 businesses. I got a family. I can't be wrong, guys. Like I can't just be on here talking about Jesus because it feels good. I don't even care about what things feel like. And you know what? A lot of times the language is sacrifice. So like we're not playing. Like we didn't just get here after being in the Marines and fighting terrorists and getting blown up and like going out and training. Like we didn't just get here, to talk to you about Jesus because it's like cool and like Jesus is my homeboy t-shirt. Like this is a dead serious way of living that helps you acquire supernatural power to walk through every struggle in life with grace and to continue gaining dominion and to really acquire what you need from the spirit to dominate the flesh, to serve everyone in the world on higher and higher levels. Like this is not like I don't do things that don't bring me power. You know what I'm saying? And so like when we're talking about being humble, it's not like something that just sounds cool because we want cool points. It is a discipline that if you actually do it, just like working out, if you do it, you really realize this is a great way to live that helps me avoid all the trauma I would deserve if I was arrogant, and that very arrogance would stop me from being successful. So when I fly the flag and I say Jesus is the source, you got to understand it ain't coming from like anything other than the reality of me knowing my imperfections and trying to get you guys to realize that this is not just a source of power, but the ultimate source of power in these strong men that you're watching's lives. Like for real. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's time tested. It's dude, Jesus delivered me this morning from something, bro. I was like, I woke up in the morning, homie, and the angel of death, like, the angel of death that just passed, bro. And I was like, my man, dog, I just had to stop, man. I had to stop, go out on my balcony and just thank God. And I thank the God, go out on my balcony in my house I don't deserve, in my beautiful life I don't deserve, and just sit there and be like, Father, you go before me. You go to war before me, man. You've set a standard up around me, man. Like, I don't even know when my angels are over here, and all we do is live to bring you glory. And so when you start to live in a way where you can trust him because of a relationship, not religion. Religion is what Satan created to separate you from your relationship, because you ain't good enough. Neither I'm not good enough. But when we're talking about these things, we're talking about real power. And that, I think, is that's the real takeaway for these protectors, man. So it's beautiful to see, man. Yeah, it's just beautiful to be able to kick it back and forth. Yeah, I mean, and with people that have been delivered, man. And solid cats. Sorry.
It's what
I went ham.
Yeah, just something that's kind of been on my heart. So I'll say it right now. I feel it's like the perfect timing.
Mm-hmm.
Is there's a few very well-known folks in the training realm.
Yeah.
That are closet believers.
Mm-hmm.
And my message is I'm looking to incite a riot in their mind right now if they hear this. When this goes live and they hear this, is stop worrying about how it's going to affect your business. Stop worrying about how people are going to judge you. Stop worrying about all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. I am not telling you to start preaching.
Right.
I'm telling you to be obnoxious.
Yeah.
Someone that's not ready to hear the message.
Right.
And do it in a way where you feel, be led by the Spirit.
Yeah. And
deliver the message. I have a number of people in my life that were atheists and no longer are. They say it's because of me. I've done nothing. All I am is an imperfect vessel.
Yeah.
Right. But I can tell you this. None of those people that I beat them over the head with this book.
Right.
I just lived out portions of what's in this book. And from time to time, I would openly, when I get asked a question, well, how do you have this? Or, I want to marry someone like your wife one day. How do you? And well, here's the source, man. Your kids. It's imperfect. My wife's not perfect. I'm not perfect. I am probably the least perfect husband, completely imperfect dad. But I'm doing a few right, and I'm very blessed.
You got fruit.
There's a lot of fruit, and the source is him. And so, back to my message. There's a few closet believers, and the more I get around more people and people that are in our circle, it's like, I didn't even know that guy. Cool. So why would he never share that? And there's a way to do it. You could do that with taste. You don't have to be distasteful. You don't have to do it in the way when you envision the religious, judgmental prick that will call
nobody wants to be.
No one wants anything to do with them.
Right.
If that's a God you serve, I want nothing to do with you or your God. Right. Not that. Do it in a way. Be yourself, and just we got to spread this word of faith. Yeah. We got to spread of Jesus Christ, and we have to do it. And let me tell you this: I have a lot of people in my circle that don't believe what I believe.
Yeah, me too.
If you do it openly and honestly, and stand behind your beliefs, and you do it with love,
that's the key.
They're not going to go away. They're not going to melt. They're not going to disappear. They're not going to turn their back. I do a lot of business with I do business with Fortune 500 companies. I do business with a lot of people. I actually do. God's brought me the business. Again, a different post, but you get what I'm saying. Be you. Stop worrying about perfect on what you share on your stories, and people are going to know, and I need to be cleansed. You're so vanilla, you're boring.
Right. And you know what I think? I think that's a question, and I say this in love like a brother to whoever's listening, but it's a question of who is your source? You know what I'm saying? Like, who's your source? So like for me, what happened was like, I've been in this space serving millionaires and billionaires my whole entire life. If I didn't know who my source is, I would have got yanked around. I'd have done all kinds of weird things I shouldn't have done. Yeah. I mean, so like when you're looking at your platform and you're looking at, for those of you who don't have a huge platform, for those of you who do have a huge platform, and you're like, yo, like I want to like I should be representing for the home team. Why am I not? Why are you not? Because of fear. because of hesitation. What is the number one commandment in the Bible? Fear not, 365 times or something like that. Yo, he says fear not for every single day in the week of the year. So you got to take a look at, like, what does that really say about where your real trust is? What does that really say about, like, maybe an idol you might have? We all have idols. I got stuff I got to deal with too. You know what I'm saying? But like what is that saying about where your heart's really at? And so, and like I said, like, we all deal with it in different areas, but that's the conversation for me. What I believe God told me to do is he was like, build this brand, speak the language, build this brand in a way that the world will recognize you, right? And at the appointed time, I will tell you when to start flying my flag out front. But first, demonstrate value to them. And so for years, man, I was building the brand, and I'm just talking about protection, and I'm just talking about motivation, inspiration, just let my light shine. And the other thing I need to touch on real quick is you talked about letting your light shine. I'm not talking about running around trying to tell people Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. That's not how you do it. That's not even what Jesus did. You just let your light shine. They see fruit. What do I mean? They see results of being blessed. Being blessed is a state of being, not a place you arrive at. They see, man, look at this dude's marriage. Look at this dude's kids. Look at this dude's life. This dude's like a lighthouse, man. Like, what is the thing? Like, what's the thing? You know what I'm saying? And so they just see that. Like, I'm Byron. You know what I'm saying? I meet you. You're into what you're into. I'm into what I'm doing my thing. But you're going to see a state of being blessed. And we're here to represent the glory of God on the earth. Like, you should look at me and you should see the spirit that's in me. You should see that. You should be like, there's something there, right? And so that's why we're blessed. So it's an organic thing. We're not talking about preaching. We're talking about just let your light shine, dog. Let people see how you treat people. Let people see how good your God is, right? And then what happened to me was this last year, I was kicking it, just praying and talking to God and pressing in. And he's like, honor me. And I'm like, yo, but I think I do. Like, I think, like, that's kind of what I do, you know? And you know how God talks to you. He don't really tell you the whole thing. He just gives you a little piece, little Post-it note. And I'm like, okay, well, I know the game. I'm like, you're going to tell me while I'm on the move. So I go back out, do my thing. Kicking off the Protector Symposium 6.0. I grab the mic. I talk for about 5 minutes. Holy Spirit's like, are you going to pray? And I'm like, oh, like, is that time? Like, let's go. So then I pray, right? Then we pray every single day at the Protector Symposium. Amazing things happen. Lives are changed. The second I start to honor God, people come out of my brand like crazy, saying, hey, man, like, I want to do business with you because I know you're a man of God. Hey, man, I really appreciate you letting your faith be out front. And like, they trust in me, and they're inspired. They all these things because they now see someone who has more to lose, someone who's in the public eye taking that step. It starts this chain reaction in my business. People who are juggernauts in the faith, like you and other people, like we all start to get closer together. It started this whole thing. I get chills just thinking about it. And so as I move into this space, now I sit down to do my live. You know, when I'm leaving the gym, usually I talk about motivation, inspiration, masculinity. God's bringing me all this God stuff. And usually he'll just give me something that I'm working on. Usually it's very still secular. But now he's like, yo, tell them about what we're doing here. Tell them about what we're doing there. So I feel like I know in my life and in my brand, it's just the tide's changing. So now I've always been authentic with you guys, but I've been very sensitive around this one topic. And now it's time for people to just see the whole entire picture, because that's where we're at. That's where we're at in the world right now. They're flying their flag. We're flying our flag. And we're going to look at the fruit of everyone's life. And we're going to see whose light's shining. We're going to see who has what we want. We look at society now. People are doing as they willst. And looks like it sucks. People need something. People need something, man. So anyways.
People are doing whatever they want.
Mm-hmm.
People are living free, or what masquerades as free.
Right.
People are identifying, and people will hear this and they won't hear. They lack the ears to hear and the eyes to see. So I'm going to say it. I'm not going to take a deep dive into it, but it means more than what it sounds like. Right. They want to identify with this, that, or the third. Mm-hmm. My question, and we have to ask this honestly, with all this freedom, and I get to identify as this, that, and the third. Mm-hmm. How's that working out for us? And are those people actually happy?
Yo,
look at that.
He's doing miracles. How the heck did that just happen? Yes. Oh, man, that's so good.
Some bread, some fish. I'm going to feed all the viewers. But my point is this. Those people are not happy. I train those people.
Yeah.
say, wow, you have a very strong position. You believe in certain things, and
Yeah.
you're a strong Christian. I don't know what that means, by the way.
Yeah.
What does that mean? I'm a strong Christian. I'm a weak Christian, actually.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
everything. Don't think because I can knock someone out.
That's
Well,
not the litmus
like
test.
I have some skill sets because I've worked on them for decades. I should be really dynamic and explosive with these skill sets. I breathe this like oxygen.
Yeah. But
You're strong.
it's one level. It's one aspect of the
Yeah,
value.
you're a strong Christian and you believe this and but you really treat everybody. You're very dynamic and you have very strong opinions, but you treat people well. I'm like,
Yeah.
I can have a very strong opinion and be very good to you.
Yeah.
I have trained transitioning people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So don't how to defend himself from violence because no one should be on the receiving end of being violently bullied.
Right. 100%.
So I can believe in this God that preaches and teaches love and then not
be loving
and people that are being harmed because in someone else's sick mind, they've weaponized probably religion.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And some idiot that doesn't have a relationship with God sees that, then just cuts off God completely because what masqueraded as God and never was God, then tore them from ever having God. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So the idea is we can believe what we believe. We can be very strong in our positions. I don't ever have to go and march in your parade ever. And I can still be really good. I could be a good neighbor. I could treat you with respect.
Yeah.
I could honor you. I could treat you well and never participate in any of the bullshit. As long as you're not trying to shove that down my throat or that of my family's, we can be civil. And I can like you and you can like me. And that's okay.
Right. 100%, man. I love it. Let's bang into this last little piece about protection and all that stuff. This is the stuff that really matters. The answers are in Christ. Now, as far as the terrorist situation, man, I know you kind of work in that realm. Is there anything you can give the listeners about? I know that there were some bulletins published about the terrorist threat with regards to churches and schools, synagogues, primarily churches and synagogues. There's the fact that our country's been flooded with, the last number I heard was 10 million unknowns. That's what the Border Patrol was tracking, right? That's another country. Okay. And we know there are people on the terrorist watch list that have made it in by the droves. So any thoughts on that, man?
Yeah. So I have a unique experience, even at the border. I've been deployed to the border. Through my agency, doing some things down there. So here's what I'll say in general as far as terrorism and terroristic threats in the United States. I can't imagine one scenario as far as a threat trend that we have not already openly discussed. So if you are having had trained, been director of security at churches and things like this, if you are a church and you're not prepared and equipping your folks with the right training, the soft skills are really big with churches. I know you know that because that's so organic to the EP world, right? But so if you're not already postured to literally protect the flock from a threat, and your response is predicated on a threat that you watch on some news channel that you don't trust for anything else, or maybe trust exclusively for everything. And it's so much, almost none of that ever does come to fruition.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is there's spikes and falls in attentiveness and response in discipline. Here's what I say about terroristic threats in general. We have a very real emerging threat. There is no doubt about it. Mm-hmm. Probably more now than ever before. Not so much because of any reason other than the known unknowns. We know that we have countless unknowns in our environment. We know that.
Yeah.
And we know that they are military age males. Yeah. We know that. We don't need to have, it is open source information, but what the behind the scenes, the unclassified stuff isn't too far off from the classified stuff, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
So here's my guidance to people when they ask about threats. Posture and position yourself to respond to the threat trends that you know exist. Do everything you can so that you can be, and here's my summary answer to this, so that you can be in a state of being alert, but not alarmed.
Yeah.
So if you do that, you have a steady state of preparedness versus a reactive state of preparedness. So we go to sleep at night. We have 97 children. We have, a protection dog in training. Yeah. We have arms. We have cameras. We have things to put holes in people.
Yeah.
Right? We have all that. So before you go to sleep, are the cameras working? Is the alarm on? Our security posture is good to go so that you can rest and actually recover instead of dying young from stress because you're paranoid from anxiety.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is what happens with threat trends, and people freak out, and the price of ammo is going up, and, the president's building an underground bunker. If you believe that he just last week, and Zuckerberg just last week, if you believe that they just got an underground bunker 2 weeks ago, I promise you, your intel source is lacking.
Like, you're behind, bro. Like, yeah.
Yeah. So, my idea on terrorism is not so much the threat, but the trend. Yeah. Be alert, not alarmed. And being alert means what? So if I'm alert, I'm prepared. I've taken certain steps. I identify good instructors that are vetted. That's another, we won't get into it right now, but that's another kind of sloppy statement that we make in this industry, and we use it because how the hell does someone that's never trained know how to vet an instructor?
Yeah.
But that's kind of tough. So ask Byron who the good instructors are. He'll tell you, and trust him.
Hey, they're on the platform.
Yeah, that's right. So be prepared, take the steps, take the training, do what you can. I have a wife. Her husband is a firefighter in the city, so he's gone for long periods of time, and they want a home invasion response course. It's like, say, will you come to our house, and will you train me in my house so I can protect my house and my baby? And sometimes my in-laws stay over. Can we do something in my house? Absolutely, yeah, no problem. I'll come to your house, and we'll bring the training equipment to your house, and we'll teach you how to move in your house and how to react in the middle of night in your house, in your furniture, and your stairways and your hallways, and where does the baby sleep, and angles of fire in a way that's relevant, and we take it off PowerPoint.
Yep.
And off that academic setting, and we make it experiential. Mm-hmm. And we have the end user learn through this experiential kind of event, and they can confirm or dispel. We give them scenarios, we stress them out, we make it as realistic as possible while remaining safe. And now you have a lifelong loyal member. And who do you think he's gonna tell his friends, but who do you think is really gonna spread the word for your business? That mom and that wife is gonna tell 30 of her girlfriends. Everybody. And now you're booked for all of 2024.
Yeah. Love it.
Free coaching there.
Yeah. No, I love it, man. That's the way. I love it. No, and I really like what you said about a steady state of preparedness. And that's what I've been trying to get people to do. I've been trying to just get them to do this. Get a little more skill, keep them reps going, get a little more skill, just keep. And then eventually you look back and you're like, yo, we've come a long way,
Yes.
And that's why it's more than just a job. It's a lifestyle.
Yes. You make it, you said it, you took the words right from my mouth. You make it a lifestyle. It's who you are. It's what you do. It's a pattern, right? So my blade is not, I have 10 of them here laying around me. It's part of my war. It's not like, hey, what am I carrying today? It goes, I have different things I carry in different areas. They're comfortable. They're I was in the city last night with my firstborn. I took her to a play for her birthday. There are things that I carry on me. I have things that masquerade as but are actually weapons. You just make it part of your wardrobe. It's not something you have to think about. It's not like, hey man, the threat trend went to orange, so let me go get a go bag. No, man, your go bag should be ready to go with the basics.
Yep. Yo, man, this is good, man. This is good. This is the stuff, man. Real quick, because I know as we wind down here, I know you've created some awesome stuff. Can you just give us like a quick just show and tell of some of the coolest? I mean, your stuff is nasty, bro. It's nasty, man, and I love it. And we almost need to do like an EDC episode at some point because guys like us, I was at an event last night and the dude's like, yeah, man, he's like, it's good to see you here. I know you're ready, and like, somebody was and I was like, yeah, man. I mean, I was like, I got, me, I'm ready. But like, the amount of weapons and different things I have on my person, like restraints and stuff like that. It's like they should know, man. So going ahead. And the stuff you make, just because you're not supposed to be armed doesn't mean you can't be. I love that principle, bro.
Yeah. I mean, who came up with that rule?
Right.
Like who are you to dictate to me how I can or cannot protect myself?
Protect myself. And you're going to take responsibility for protecting me?
Yeah.
No, you're not. You're sitting there making minimum wage at the metal detectors, bro. All right. That's what you're doing.
So I'll just go over briefly. We have a number of unique kind of things that we make. So our smallest, most concealable, lightweight tool is the redemption blade. Love this blade. It's a 2-finger capsule blade. It's based on a previous knife was in the industry for a really long time. I was actually a distributor for them until they went out of business. And then we did just countless upgrades on it. And what we like about this is it comes with a sheath and it comes with a cloth grabber clip. So you could place this inside your pocket on the waistline. You could be in a suit and tie. My girls, when they ran track, would clip it onto their sports bras. You could wear it as a neck knife underneath and access. You could literally clip this anywhere on your body. You can clip this to your keychain. So as you're walking to your vehicle, instead of holding the key fob, you literally let the keys just dangle from here. And then you're actually ready and prepared. It's 1.5 inches. It's designed to emulate a utility blade. So it's not designed like a death tool of some
It's
sort.
Not murdering.
Exactly. Purpose for carry is kind of easy. So that's one of our tools. This is the G10 version. We also have a live version of our Zion blade. It's a grab and punch blade. And I designed it to where if I could have someone that has a basic understanding of how to throw a basic strike and how I place a tool that ergonomically locks into their hand and they can throw a basic strike, I can build a very simple, basic template that they could recall under a high level of stress of how to protect themselves and how to use a blade for defense. So that's our G10 version, which means it's non-metallic. G10 is essentially pressed glass, just super, super, super strong, almost impossible to break. I mean, you can't chip it, but most importantly, it's non-metallic. So you can carry that and it's very light. And then we have a metallic version of that. This one's curved as well. We have our professional knife maker. I designed the blades. My knife maker makes them for us. I do not make blades. I design them. And then we have a number of axes as well. Battle axes. This is our tomahawk. This is our large axe. You can use this for field use or apocalyptic use as well is also an option.
Yes, apocalyptic use. Yo, I like that little beak on there, bro. That little beak, man.
Yeah. So you can't really see there, but that's a soldier walking with the hands of a young girl that he's saving. That's for our charity arm, Sentinel Foundation, that frees children from sex trafficking. This is our Break the Chains of Human Trafficking banner. I've got to send you one of these, by the way. What we're doing, I made this banner. It's not really a money maker for us. Mm-hmm. It's just every person that has a garage gym or folks that have a CrossFit gym or a workout gym of any kind tend to fly flags. And we just wanted something that looked badass and people could fly. Mm-hmm. And then we give the proceeds to that. And so our tithing, our mission is actually our charity arm, which is Sentinel Foundation. And they are their own foundation. It's not my foundation. It's just the arm that we feed financially. And what we do is we take proceeds from all the classes we teach and all the product that we sell, and we give a portion of that to our charity. And we have our link set up on our website. So if you never meet me, if you never purchase any of our products, if you never take any of our classes, you could still go to our website. We can serve as an imperfect vessel to be the light, to be a voice for the voiceless, to be a father to the fatherless, for these children that are raped countless times a day in this sex trafficking industry, and people can invest a few dollars in that foundation and have that go directly towards operations that help free these children from this heinous life.
Mm-hmm. No, man, I love that. I love that you guys are doing that. I think that's an amazing business practice. I do the same thing. And I honestly believe that habit is like we were talking about, a spiritual principle that gives you supernatural results. We are tied into another economy, a spiritual economy. So no matter what this economy does, or we're grounded in something different. Through all the pandemics and through everything, my companies grew and prospered, right? Because we're tied into another economy, because we're superimposing spiritual principles into this on our natural way of life. That's the way. But anyways, awesome that you're doing that with the charity.
Thank you.
Bruh, the blades you're making, next level. I love the ghosty stuff, like I just, going ahead and wand me, you know what I mean? Just because I'm not supposed to be armed don't mean I can't be, right? And then I love how you've made these blades so simple to use. That's another, there's a lot of blade conversations out there. You know what I mean? There's all these blade gangs and they all believe straight blade, curved blade, whatever. I just want the end user to be able to implement whatever it is as simply as possible. So I've always been a push daggery guy. So I love that.
Yeah. Here's what combative marksmanship is, either with a projectile weapon, whether you're using bullets to put holes in people, or you're using the steel of a blade to put holes in people, or using the steel of your vehicle.
Yeah.
More in, more blood out. That's it.
That's it.
So I understand the off switch. I understand the pipeline, the fatality. I got that. I got it. Suicide bomber drills, I got that. It has its place. It's crucial.
Yeah, when it's crucial.
That said, more holes in, more blood out. Uncomplicate, and then you can get into the art. Because what happens is, typically, as instructors, we want to share, maybe the word is flex, all this information that we have. That's why when you go to the bookstore, the largest section is the self-help section, because people just want more and more and more information. But if you're actually applying the information, do you need more information? Because you've applied it, so you no longer need the help because you've actually applied and you now have wisdom, not information. So this idea of just this perpetual, like this reticence to have a template of training that's simplistic, dynamic, violent, realistic, principle-based, and teaching people how to take a few principles and mapping them onto different scenarios, instead of, in this scenario, you would do this, but then in this scenario, you do that. But then in this third scenario, you do this, and you overcomplicate it, and you expect, and you are an educated man. You understand how this works, right? From a psychological standpoint, we're asking people to perform trigonometry at a level of stress where at best we can perform arithmetic. So what do we do? We're entertaining people in our training, giving them a bunch of information that they will never recall under a high level of stress and will never be able to execute because they don't even know that it's available to them.
I mean, you said it so good, man. You said it perfect. And without any real world understanding, it's really easy to get wowed and hypnotized into that vortex. Yeah, I mean, because you don't have any experiential reference points to be like, yo, bro, when that was going down, all I needed to do was reload my mag, and it was hard. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was like literally couldn't get it done. It felt like this. like, you know what I mean? And they're thinking they're going to be like elbow number 6, strike number 5, pinky grab twist. Like, you ain't doing, bro. Anyways, so that's awesome, man. I love it. Solid. All right. So I think we've given them so much, my man. We've given them so much. Closing questions. At the end of the day, when it's all said and done, how do you want to be remembered? What's it all for?
Oh, that's a great question. I want to be remembered as a good, decent man, an imperfect guy with transparent issues. Like that guy had some stuff he was always working on, and he maybe never really figured them out, but he worked on himself harder than he worked on anything else. He was very direct, very honest, but also very caring and a servant of humans. He took his talents and his skills and he shared it with the world. And he was an autonomous, free-thinking man. And he made it okay to, not with arrogance, not being controversial for the sake of like stomping your feet and feeding your ego, but being an autonomous thinker that rebuked groupthink and didn't capitulate to the masses and did it in a way where there was still class there. He was still like a good father, and he was happy, and he wasn't pressed or stressed and angry at the entire world as it's falling. And just this understanding that it's okay to truly identify with the freedom that comes from subordinating yourself to our Creator, a follower of Jesus Christ, and a person that did his very best, though he failed 90 times a day, at being an example of that and a template for others to follow. A man that called other men to accountability, to be better husbands, to be better fathers, to understand there's never an I've arrived moment, to stop this nonsense of patting ourselves in the back and showing our resume of what we did 7 years ago. No one cares what we did 7 years ago. What are we doing today? How are we changing the planet today? And what is the legacy that you're leaving behind for your grandchildren?
Yep. Get them. I love it, man. Maury, man, you're the man, bro. You're the man. I love you instantly. I love you, man. We just warming up. We just unwinding. Such good stuff, man. And you're doing those things, man. You're doing those things.
And let's make an announcement.
Let's go.
You and I have not discussed this. So just 100%, not just transparency, but just behind the scenes.
In the moment.
Byron and I have not discussed this. We're going to be doing something very special, very different, has never been done before in this industry in 2024, probably Q2, and just details to follow. It's going to be amazing. And we're going to join forces, and we're going to bring some other important people in this industry, and we're going to give you something super special, and it's going to cause waves.
It's going to cause waves, man. No, 100% prophesy a thing, man. No, I see it. I can feel it. I'm right there with you, man. This is going to be good. 100%, bro. 100%. So, my man, I love you. I love what you're doing. I'm glad we're connected. I think we gave him a lot to chew on in this episode, a lot of real world stuff, real ways to generate power, real ology of becoming a protector, how to address the reality of the threat landscape changing and risks that are always in flux, right? And the reality of it's more than just a job. It really is a lifestyle. And also, I really hope these guys go out and check out your hardware and your training. But we're going to join forces on more of that, man. This is awesome. Thank you so much, brother. It's an honor.
Well,
yeah. Boom. Boom. Quick shout out to our sponsor, Staccato, my first pistol sponsor. I've been sponsored by a lot of companies, right, over the years. But when it comes to pistol, that's my bread and butter. Pistol is something I believe in. I'm a competitive shooter. We're shooting anywhere from, 800 rounds a month type of thing, right? So Staccato, being what I believe, is one of, if not the most complete handguns you can put in your hand. It's got every component that a handgun could have, should have. They're actually extremely dependable now that they've made some changes, and these things are straight up tack drivers. If you're looking for a pistol that will do as much of the work for you as a piece of hardware can, obviously you have to have the marksmanship and all the different things, but different guns perform at different levels. And I want to say that Staccato is one of, by far, for sure, take it from a competitive shooter, we're shooting the highest volumes of rounds constantly right now. Not used to have a background guy, but like right now, when you go shoot, you're going to see certain brands. Staccato is one of, if not the highest performing firearm that is both CCW, duty ready, and also competitive ready. So I want to give them a shout out. If you guys are looking for a good handgun to build your skills on top of, go check out Staccato. Much love and respect. Yo, if you enjoyed that episode and you like learning things like that, I want to encourage you to go to Protector Nation, build a profile, get in the Civilian Protector Project. This is where you can learn from these guys, live Zoom calls. You can see the full modules that you just watched, and you can become part of a community. It's the first social media platform for protectors where we can get to know each other, we can network, we can learn together. We do live Zoom calls with different SMEs every single month. There's so much packed in there. I'm in there. It's an honor, it's a privilege. Looking forward to working together to make the world a safer place by helping good people to become more willing, capable, and prepared. Protector Nation, Civilian Protector Project. Let's go.